Greetings. In the teaching of numerology, divine math and numbers, if you will, one must always start at the beginning. One must always start with the Aleph, with the one, the number that we now know to be the number one. I could spend a whole lot of time talking about how our numbers came to be, where our numbers originated, how the Arab community gifted us the presentation of the numbers that we now see and understand, even indeed the creation of zero and the power that that understanding brought to the society and the civilization that brought it forward. But I'm going to always begin with the number one. One represents God, and if there be a God, indeed that God exists within me. Indeed that God exists within you. So number one represents both God and self for me, unified. It is indeed Ori. It is indeed that point of light that originates in your head, that silver cord that grandma used to talk about, that ties us from the physical to the spiritual. One is indeed that straight line. What is the shortest distance between any 2 points? A straight line. And so indeed that is embedded in the symbolism of the number one. We always start with self. In any presented illusion of a challenge, a complication, a block, I always start with self. Where do I stand up in this moment in time space? Where is my power in this moment in time space? How, if at all, does this affect me in this present moment in time space? So indeed we start with the point. We start with the point of light, and indeed we start with the number one. We come into this world singularly in the physical. We will leave this world singularly in the physical, perhaps, unless you pass away in something much more tragic, and then there are numbers of physical bodies to be accounted. But the soul comes and goes. Now, on the spirit level, we know that we're never alone. We know that we were ushered in, as we will be assisted and ushered out into the next plane, into the next dimensional space of reality. I also think it's very important for me to note and introduce for you right now in this moment, so that the context of what I will be presenting moving forward will always be clear, and in a straight line. The theory of relativity and Einstein's mathematical equation about the reality that we all exist and inhabit. And based on the math, he says that in order for this reality that we have to exist, we would indeed have to be existing on at least 11 dimensional time spaces at once. And correct my language, 11 dimensional spaces at once. Time only inhabits one dimensional space. And anything that you can create or recreate in your mind, in your vision, in your third eye, in your imagination, in your dream state, is indeed real on at least one of those dimensional realities. Those dimensional realities have characteristics that mimic our reality, but you also have spaces within those multi-dimensional realities that mimic our imagination, that mimic our horrors, that mimic our dreams, that mimic our joys, that mimic our goals, that mimic any illusion of light that might pass through our consciousness. So remember, there's power in one. Never think that one is isolated. Never think that one can't change the world. Never think that one can't set into motion all activities around you that could create and recreate not only the reality that you seek and desire, but the reality that the divine creators might project, might insist upon, might create in us, through us, and around us. Talking about these things is one of the pleasures of my life. I think I found a new joy. I think I found a new passion. And so I will be bringing more revolutionary hoodoo, New Orleans voodoo secrets and recipes to you by way of Patreon. Remember, one is powerful. One is powerful. And indeed, one is not in isolation. I might as well talk about zero and the 10 while I'm already here. Because when I see the number 10, as I was taught and instructed about the number 10, 10 is the God number. 10 is the God number. It includes the one, God manifesting through us, through humanity, through material matter, but also that zero, that unknowable, that unseeable, but it's also all inclusive. We see the zero, the circle, as an archetype, if you will, of not only feminine energy in the universe, but intuitive energy and creative energy that can be shaped and reshaped, that creates and procreates within the universe. So one singularly can be the one, the only one, the all creator, the all creative mind, but that one also represents that all creative creator, that all creative mind showing up, manifesting through us, through humanity, through all things that exist here on the planet. Indeed, the idea of what animism is the presence of spirit in all things, in all matter. If God indeed created the universe, if the divine creators and the goddess indeed created all things in the universe, including light and darkness, then indeed it would be present within us. It would be present around us. All is truly and indeed a blessing moving forward until next time. Asheo.